Now is a sweet time when we get to go into meditation. So I invite you to get things out of your lap and get those feet firmly planted on the floor for good grounding into Mother Earth. Close your eyes if you're comfortable. We're going to welcome in a moment of stillness, a sacred time of quiet, where we can take an opportunity to release the tension in our body, the tension that's in our minds. We could just take some deep breaths in and let it go. And just feel your body relaxing as you're paying attention to that breath. As you're breathing in deeply, you're exhaling all of that air out. You might even breathe in, God is, and breathe out, I am. Settling ourselves into this time and space. With each breath, we feel ourselves sinking more deeply into our seat, into a state of relaxation and calm. So we allow our bodies to just be still and be here now. I invite you to envision with me a magnificent golden light that is completely surrounding and enfolding your body and actually going down through your feet into Mother Earth and grounding you here in this now precious moment. Feeling that light as warming, as peace, as calm. This light can represent the presence of Spirit in us. The Spirit that grounds us, that flows through all things. And as you continue to breathe deeply, I invite you to imagine that anything that is on your heart that is of concern to you this morning, any worries or fears that you might be carrying in your body, mind, or soul, that you just allow this golden light to absorb from you, turning it over and letting this beautiful light of Spirit take it from you as you surrender easily and give it over. We practice this surrendering now in the silence as we let go and we let Spirit take it in the silence. We can trust that we are exactly where we are supposed to be in this present moment by divine appointment. We are right here, right now, present to this Spirit that lives in us and surrendering to its guidance trust that everything is exactly as it should be. Feel a sense of peace just washing over your soul, knowing that you are guided and supported every moment of every day by this beautiful presence of Spirit in you. Allow yourself to be open to any insights that you receive when you sit in the silence and you ask. Know that you will be given that which you need to move forward in your life. Everything always for your highest and best good. And so we silently affirm now to ourselves, I am open to the wisdom of Spirit. I trust in the path that is unfolding before me. Breathe that in and let it settle into your soul. I am open to the wisdom of Spirit. I trust in the path that is unfolding before me. And now that we've let go and allowed, we can return to this room, to this present moment here in our physical bodies with that sense of peace that you can carry with you throughout your day, knowing that you can always return to this place of stillness and remember the presence of God that you are, the mighty power that you already are. With gratitude for this moment of meditation, we say thank you, indwelling Spirit. How grateful we are. And whenever you're ready, just open your beautiful eyes. I love seeing the peace on your faces. I wish I could take a picture and show you how beautiful you are when you're in that place. So here we are. It's the first Sunday of Lent already. And we have these beautiful booklets that are focusing on every single day. And today Ellen Davenport is doing Jesus, Let Go of Human Ego. So we're going to talk a little bit about that in a minute. But you know, for years now, I've been getting up here and I've been saying, I think I'm like in my 9th year now, that I've always thought of Lent as let's eliminate negative thinking. That's kind of been my acronym because, you know, in Unity, we don't do things traditional Christianity does, right? But I've been playing with that acronym a little bit. And I have a new one that I like as much or even better, and it's I forgot it. Let's elevate narrow thoughts, right? I like that. Let's elevate narrow thoughts because our thinking is how we bring forth into creation, right? It's principle 3, isn't it? What are the principles? God is, I am, I think, I pray, I live the truth I know. And so I think is how we create. So what we think about, we bring about. What we focus on expands. And so it's so important that we elevate those thoughts that would have a tendency to limit us. We are unlimited, eternal beings, right? And so the whole world is here for us to create and do that which we came here to do. And so I like that. And And what we're going to talk about today is how to focus on these principles and how we can make our lives better by learning to flow along with the good that wants to unfold in our lives. So a big part of that is our thought. And this whole month, we're looking at praying for others. So let's say our affirmation together from 1989. I pray for myself and others in a spirit of love and faith. So how many of you are experiencing like a little bit of stress or strain in your lives? Okay, about half of you. So the rest of you need to teach the rest of us, right? Only about half of you. I wish I could see how many on Zoom were raising their hands. Doesn't really surprise me, just because of the state of things. And it doesn't really matter, whether it's something that's in your family or in your work or in your relationships or in your health, whatever the stress or strain is coming from, it's happening to lots of us. And for some of you, it may be happening in more than one of those categories. You may have 3 or 4 of those things that are being affected right now. So that's why I like Ellen Davenport's Jesus Let Go of Human Ego for today's focus. Because she says in the booklet today that Jesus also had many opportunities during his ministry to let go and let God, just as we do in our lives. He learned how to trust the divine power within him. And that's what we're here in this incarnation to learn, how powerful we are and how we have the ability to create our lives. So you can find the whole story in Matthew chapter 4. Traditional Christians talk about and look at Lent as representing Jesus' 40 days in the wilderness when he went away to pray and to fast, right? And so when I was growing up as a Lutheran, every time Lent came around, we had to give something up, for the 40 days. And for me, it was like chocolate. I didn't want to give up too much. So sometimes I gave up chocolate, or at least I told my mom that I was giving it up. So Jesus fasted and he prayed for these 40 days, and then the devil tempted him. And Jesus remained strong during all these temptations because, he's hungry, right? He's been praying and fasting for 40 days. And the devil's tempting him with food and all kinds of things. And Jesus stands in his conviction and says to the devil, away with you, right? He's not having anything to do with him. So in unity, we look at that chapter 4 of Matthew metaphysically. And so the devil metaphysically symbolizes human thoughts that are adverse to the divine good. Error thinking, right? So Jesus was having a battle within himself, with his own ego and his own will. That's why he went away, because he was trying to get ready for what was going to happen at Easter, right? He was learning to use his power, and that's why it's so important that he said, away with you. Because he didn't buy into the temptation. He stood in his truth and his power. And we have that same power and strength to do that when things come up in our lives that we don't necessarily like the look of. We're like, oh my God, what is this, right? So Jesus had the same thing happening to him because he was human and also divine, just as we are. So we need our ego, but we don't want our ego to be out of balance with spirit. So the problem is that most of us are trying way too hard to control the things in our lives. We don't like the way it looks, or even better yet, we don't like the way someone in our family is behaving, right? And so we try to make other people conform to what makes us feel better, right? If they just would, if we could just manipulate them a little bit, you know, if they could just get these unity teachings, if they could just, right, if they could just, you get the gist of that. If they could change, we would feel better. So it's amazing how quickly problems are dissolved once we're able to let go of that, trying to be controlling about everything and everybody, just so we feel better. Everybody is on their path at their own pace, right? They're all learning what they're supposed to be learning at the rate at which they're learning it. And we're all at different levels all the time, and we're all growing and changing. But we have to be able to let go. We have to let go of them, and we have to trust that God is working in and through us to bring about our highest good. Because when things come into our lives that we don't like, often what we do is resist it. And so what happens? We resist and it persists, you know? We can even do this sometimes. We move away from a situation and it follows us, you know? Because we're resisting dealing with it. We don't want to solve it, right? We don't want to face it head on and heal it. We just want to feel better. And so it's just because we don't like change. We may want to keep things the way they are because we're comfortable there. We like it. And yet there's a part of us that feels like something's kind of missing. Something's not quite what we would like it to be. And we want our lives to be richer and fuller. Is anyone with me here? Yeah? Okay. So we don't really need to, in fact, we should not outline for Spirit what it is that we're looking for. We shouldn't have our bullet points. Okay, God, this is what it should be. We shouldn't really do that because even sometimes in our prayer lives, we limit ourselves. We limit our good because we're thinking too small. You know, we're forgetting that we are these magnificent, eternal beings that create the lives that we so choose, and that we're living based on what we think, what we feel, what we believe to be true. So if you believe little, you get little, right? So this happens not only when you're praying for yourself, but when you're praying for others. You have a tendency to limit them, limit their outcomes. So we always want to pray, don't we? We want to end our prayers with the highest and best for all concerned. That way, Spirit can go, and the universe goes, yes, I know what this person needs, right? So we're turning it over, right? But even during those times when it feels like things are standing perfectly still, you know, like we're in a pause. We're in the hallway. Ellen Davenport wrote a book about that. Hell in the hallway, light at the door. You know, that waiting time when you're kind of, okay, I know I'm supposed to be doing something. I'm not sure what it is. It's coming. I know it's coming. I remember feeling that in Texas, waiting to get the call from this church. I'm like, I know I'm supposed to be someplace. I don't know where it's supposed to be, but I know Spirit's got my back. I know it's coming. That waiting time can sometimes, it feels like we're going backwards instead of forwards, but we can't lose heart. We cannot lose heart. Then more than ever, we need to stand in our truth and know that God is doing its perfect outworking in us at the perfect divine timing, not our timing, you see. We have to trust that it's all in divine order. It reminds me so much when we were praying for Jim and Eileen's house, because it was just like it was going so slow, you know, and we were like, oh my God. You know, that builder, he's just really bad. He's just, you know, don't ever tell anybody about that builder because, you know, because it's taken forever. But then the hurricane came. And if they had gone more quickly, there would have been a structure that could have been damaged by the hurricane. So there you go, you know. It's all working out exactly as it should. So instead of trying to change everything or change other people, for instance, I want to talk to you a little bit about Martha Smock. Martha Smock, she wrote this book called Turning Points. She describes what happens when we behold the Christ in others. If we're concerned about other people, we don't really help them very much when we relieve them of their responsibilities. We all know there are people that have never actually gained good control over their lives. They've just never been able to take care of the affairs. They've just never been able to have good judgment. We all know people like this in our families and in our friends. Often it's because someone has been doing it for them, right? They've been bailing them out, and so they've never had to learn the hard lessons. So how do we know whether we're supposed to help when someone comes to us and asks us for help? Well, you know, when you ask Spirit, when you get quiet and you ask, you feel it in your gut, your solar plexus. You know, because it feels right. It feels like you should do something. It feels like you should help. And you know whether to withhold or whether to give help. But you see, our real responsibility lies in helping another person, lies in our praying first and foremost for ourselves and for them, that they can behold the Spirit of God within themselves, that they can know that God has their back because they are expressions of God and they are bringing forth from themselves. And so they have everything they need. No one needs to fix them, you see. It's a really different way of looking at it. So the best way we can help someone else is by having faith in them that they know that Spirit has their back. That's how we can help people the most. That they have the power within themselves to change their lives. I want to tell you a little bit more about Martha Smock because she's just an amazing. This whole year we're doing 100 years of Daily Word. And Martha Smock served as the editor of Daily Word for 33 years. Her family was steeped in unity. She was born in 1913, and immediately her family was involved. They already knew the Fillmores. They were already plugged in. So by the time she was 30, May Rowland, who Vivian told you about last week, you know about May Rowland, running Silent Unity for 50 years, she recommended that Martha Smock take over as editor of the Daily Word when she was only 30 years old. That's how come she could stay there for 33 years. She was young coming in, but they knew how steeped she was in unity. And she involved her whole family, her daughters, everybody helped. They wrote daily words. But the funny thing that I loved about her was that she loved to play games. She would always, any kind of games, card games in particular. And you would never find Martha without a deck of cards in her purse. She took them everywhere. She loved to read mysteries, and she loved Irma Bombeck. Now, who would know that? She loved Irma. We loved Irma, too. People in the general public never really knew that Martha was the backbone of Daily Word and that wrote and was the inspiration behind many of the people, the authors that wrote there, because even today, those people remain anonymous. Isn't that great to know a little bit about Martha Smock? She wrote a couple of books, and we'll be talking about some of her other work later in this month. Today we're in the Bible. We're in John chapter 16, verse 12. When the Spirit of truth comes, he will guide you into all the truth. For he will not speak on his own, but he will speak whatever he hears, and he will declare to you the things that are to come. So this scripture is about the work of Spirit, because it's up to us to get into that consciousness of the unity of all humankind in one mind. That's how we can see the Christ in everyone. When we're of that consciousness and we know that there's no separation, we know we're all one, we can see that. We can express that. We must realize that when we're tuned into spirit, our every thought will harmonize with this great universal consciousness in where we all live and move and have our being. And then we'll see the world without separation. We'll see each other as one. We'll see through eyes of love. And that's what's really going to help heal our planet. It's easier to behold the Christ in everyone when you're coming from a place of love. It's always about love, isn't it? It's always about love and consciousness. So our Wednesday morning book group is looking at and studying the book called Divine Love that Grant brought to my attention. It's called Awakening Unity Consciousness. And we are having some very deep discussions. It's not too late to join us at 10 on Wednesday, Zoom or in the church. Recently, we read this in the book. Faith implies trust in understanding the support of the universe, an aspect of consciousness always creating alongside with us. Our personal story shifts as we allow our perception to come into alignment with growth and love. We are the creators of our personal reality, and awareness is the path to change. These are the universal truths. This is how this stuff works. And so this week, this piece came to my attention, and I had to figure out a way to work it into the talk today, because there was some way I was going to get to share this. That we've been talking about unity history and everything. And I want to talk about why I think these teachings of unity work so well. So the Fillmores, this is from the book Myrtle Fillmore, Mother of Unity by Thomas Witherspoon. The Fillmores believed that the teachings that were evolving out of their efforts were of the spirit of truth. Charles explained, "We have studied many isms, many cults. People of every religion under the sun claim that we either belong to them or have borrowed the best part of our teachings from them. We have borrowed the best from all of the religions. That is the reason we are called unity. We studied Christian Science as all of the other religions. We were also called New Thought people, mental scientists, theosophists, and so on. But none of these sufficiently emphasized the higher attributes of man, and we avoided any close affiliation with them. Unity is not a sect. It's not a separation of people into an exclusive group of know-it-alls." Don't you love that? I love that, Charles. Unity is the truth that is taught in all religions, simplified and systemized so that anyone can understand and apply it. Students of unity do not find it necessary to sever their church affiliations. So you can be a member of another church and still be part of unity, right? The church needs the vitalization that this renaissance of primitive Christianity gives it. Primitive Christianity. To me, I interpret that as going back to the core of Jesus' teachings. It's not how any sect of traditional Christianity interprets it or changed it. It's just based on the teachings of Jesus. Do you like that? I do too. I like that so much. And so we know that these practices, these teachings, these things that we share work when you use them. So Martha Smock says, when any feeling of stress or strain about anything in your life comes, take this thought and rest and relax in it. I flow along with my good. I grow along with my good. Use it as an affirmation in your life. To do this is to feel yourself, she says, a part of the living stream of God, and to know that effortlessly and easily you go from good to good, that you are sustained and upheld by the current of divine love and power. And folks, that's the way it truly is. Okay, enough preaching. Time for a joke. So this guy's wandering around in the parking lot. He's starting to get sweaty. It's like, I have this big meeting and I can't find a parking space. So he pauses for a moment and he looks up and he says, "Take pity on me, Lord. If you find me a parking spot, I promise I will be at Mass every single Sunday, and I'll even give up beer." Suddenly, a parking place appears miraculously, and he looks up and he says, "Never mind, I found one." Somebody didn't give up anything for Lent, did they? So I found that I want to close today with this sweet little thing I found. I don't know. I was cleaning out things in my office, and this is a little bitty thing. It's a prayer that the Silent Unity Prayer Associates use before they do their calls, before they receive the calls. And so here in our church, you not only have the opportunity to pray with the prayer team, you have an opportunity to write your prayer down and put it in the prayer box in the foyer, and then I pray over them, and then I send them to Silent Unity, and they pray for your prayer requests for 30 days. So if you call, email, text, you can go through unity.org, you can go to the Be Unity app, you can visit us. We're on Facebook Monday through Friday at 12 o'clock. We do a Facebook Silent Unity prayer service. And so this is what they pray. It says, before I pray with others today, I surrender human judgment to divine discernment, human willfulness to divine will, and the limitations of my human mind to the limitless wisdom and understanding of divine mind. I let my voice be God's voice, my words be God's words, each one a true expression of divine love, light, and peace. My faith is strong, my energy is high. My consciousness is pure, my presence is peaceful. My heart is compassionate, so that divine love flows freely to help each one of us who calls. In confidence and faith, I answer the call to serve in Silent Unity, knowing that it is not I, but the Christ within that does the sacred work. And I affirm a perfect blessing for each one that I serve today, for my prayer partners in this ministry, and for myself, as I gratefully take my first call. Amen. Thank you so much. This is our time in the service when we get to share from our good and our blessings into our ministry. So whether you're in person or whether you've given online or whether you are using the Breeze link or hitting the PayPal button, we receive it all. We don't care how it gets here. We're grateful and we want to bless these tithes. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God, that this is so.